6 Minute English.
From bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello, this is 6 Minute English from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Georgie. Do you know the 5 tastes which give food its flavour, Neil? There's sweet.
Yes, and sour, bitter...
And salty. Everyone knows that salt makes food taste better by enhancing the flavours of the ingredients. There's even a phrase you'll see in many recipes, add a pinch of salt.
But exactly how much salt makes a pinch of salt? The World Health Organization, or WHO, recommends a daily salt intake of less than 5 grams, about the same as a teaspoon. In fact, the human body needs salt, at least 1 gram a day, to survive. But most of us eat far too much, increasing the risk of high blood pressure and heart disease. In this programme, we'll be asking how much salt is too much. And as usual, we'll be learning some useful new vocabulary as well.
Great! But first, I have a question for you, Neil. The reason it's difficult to know how much salt you consume is that it's hidden in food, especially processed food. So which of the following everyday foods do you think contains most salt? Is it A, meat, B, bread, or C, pasta?
Well, I'm going to guess that meat is the saltiest of those foods.
OK, Neil, I'll reveal the answer later in the programme. Marian Sambiva lives in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan, a country where people eat on average 17 grams of salt a day. That's more than 3 times the amount recommended by the WHO. Here, Marianne explains some of the reasons behind this to BBC World Service programme, The Food Chain.
We consume lots of salt, which is due to historical heritage, because when we were nomads, for centuries and centuries, we traveled and wandered across the steppes, and here we had to carry lots of meat, which could be preserved only adding salt. And even the milk products, the dairy products, are also very much salty for the same reasons.
Besides improving its flavour, salt can be used to preserve food, to stop it from going bad. Traditionally, people in Kazakhstan were nomads. They travelled from place to place with their animals rather than living in one place all the time. Treating food with salt gave them enough to eat during the long winter months. They even did it with dairy products, foods which are made from milk, such as cheese and butter.
So, salt has a long and useful history, but there's a big difference between traditional Kazakh nomads and the health problems associated with modern processed food. When we eat too much salt, the body dilutes it by retaining water. And as a result, the heart works harder to pump liquid around the body. This causes high blood pressure, which, over time, can lead to heart disease.
Globally, governments are fighting this health risk in different ways. The Australian government reduced its recommended salt intake to 6 grams a day, while the British government has passed laws forcing food companies to reduce the amount of salt they use, and now recommends just 5 grams of salt per day.
Claire Collins is Professor of Nutrition at the University of Newcastle in Australia. Here, she explains more about these salt recommendations to BBC World Service programme, The Food Chain.
I think you just got to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Like arguing whether it should be 5 grams or 6 grams, the issue is that around the world, salt intakes are very high, contributing to high blood pressure, contributing to premature strokes, premature mortality, and we need to address it in a way that's culturally appropriate for each country.
Instead of arguing over grams of salt, Professor Collins thinks we should take a step back and look at the bigger picture. She uses 2 idioms: take a step back, which means to temporarily withdraw from a situation in order to think about it more calmly, and look at the bigger picture, to consider the overall meaning of something, not just the details.
Yes, the problem remains that overconsumption of salt is causing premature health problems which are happening sooner than they should. By limiting salt and processed food, most people can enjoy long, healthy lives. And if you don't like your food unsalted, try adding herbs and spices instead.
Well, speaking of salty foods, I think it's time to reveal the answer to my question, Neil. If you remember, I asked you which everyday food contains most salt,
And I guessed it was meat.
which was the correct answer. Meat contains the highest amount of salt, around 19%, followed by bread with 14% and pasta with 7%. Okay, let's recap the vocabulary we've learned in this program, starting with the verb to preserve food, meaning to do something to stop it rotting so it can be eaten later.
Nomads are people who travel from one place to another, often with animal livestock, rather than living in one place all the time.
Dairy products are foods such as cheese and butter, which are made from milk.
If you take a step back, you temporarily remove yourself from a situation in order to re-evaluate it.
The idiom to look at the bigger picture means to consider the overall meaning of something rather than the specific details.
And finally, the adjective premature describes something which happens too soon or before the proper time. Once again, our 6 minutes are up. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
6 Minute English
from bbclearningenglish.com.